Okay, today I wanted to have a little discussion about the NEF presets, some of which I've been putting out over the last few days. Um, Seems to be a lot of people interested in this. And I will tell you, Aperture 3 has changed somewhat for the better. It's throwing me off a little bit in some of the adjustments I used to do for my cameras. But let's just take a look at what's going on with NEF files in general. I'm going to take these two to start out with and show you how I go about taking a look at what corrections might be necessary. I'm going to start with color and discuss that because that's really the first thing that most people notice about the difference between NX2 and aperture. Um, so let's just bring up the loop and show you a little bit about what's going on here. And the first thing that I notice is these blues here in the foreground. Without paying a whole lot of attention to brightness and contrast, just take a look at those blues. One other thing you'll notice is the very saturated blues have a very consistent hue. I use the loop tool and set it to display HSL values because I really don't want to pay attention to saturation level or luminance level, just the hue, which is the actual color value. You'll notice the aperture 3 is about 209, 210-ish. If we move it over to the NX2 produced file, that jumps way up into the 220s, almost 230s. And so that's one problem. We need to shift these more towards purple in the aperture version. Let's go take a look at the greens. That's something else that looks very different to me. The greens in the aperture 2 or aperture 3 file appear much more yellow than the greens in the NX2 file. So let's go take a look at some of these brighter greens. Go up here and find an appropriate spot. This is pretty consistent color. Looks like we're around 75, 74. Put it around the same place here and go up around to 80. And so the greens are going to be a problem too. So let's start with the blues and the greens. Just to make sure we're going in the right direction, I'll take a look at another file. Go down here and I'll select this one and go with the NX2 rendered version, which I have down here. And just to confirm our suspicions, let's take a look at blues in the sky. I want to show you something. We're here in the lighter portions. We have 213, 211, 214. And that's remarkably similar in the NX2 rendered version. This is really the big problem because in the darker portions we still have a similar value in aperture 3. However, in NX2 you'll note we go way up into the 220s, 230s over here. So we have to shift these blues more towards purple, definitely. And we'll make sure that's the same here. The NX2 looks like we've got about 214, 217, 220. Over here, and those 210s. So we do need to shift that more towards purple. Check out the greens real quick. Yep. At least it's pretty consistent. Problem is these blues, which vary from almost about the same to much more towards the green side over here. Anyway, where we correct that is using this color control. There's other ways to do it. You could pick just about any one. This one's probably the easiest to use. So let's just correct these blues first. Part of the secret is making sure you've got about the right spot you're going to start the adjusting at. So I'm just going to use this color picker, move the loop over a little, and I'm going to pick somewhere around there. I'm going to shift the values more towards purple. So what we got here, 221, 15. That might be a little too much, but we'll leave it for now. The other thing that I notice is, although the luminance is about the same over here, the luminance is not even close here. And that doesn't actually have a whole lot to do with overall brightness. So I'm going to crank the luminance value of those blues way up, probably about here. And we'll go back, take a look at these barrels again. And pick that color, shift that more towards purple. Too much. Again, the luminance values. And you can see that that boost in luminance really helps match all of these blues a lot better back here. Do the greens real quick. That seems to be about the right value. What I want to do is take those away from yellow and more towards green. Probably about that much. Luminance is about the same. Maybe there. And that's basically how I go about adjusting the colors. When I'm done the colors, and if you're not sure you're going in the right direction, just try to match the balance of those colors in the histogram. Don't worry about the overall contrast yet, but you can see that the color curves are now much more similar in terms of their balance. You can start at the brightness and contrast too. That helps some people to see the colors better. And then from here, we just have some simple brightness, contrast tweaks to do to make a preset that'll get you real close to what NX2 does.